In the heart of northern Israel, buried beneath the grounds of an old prison, archaeologists have unearthed what could be one of the most significant discoveries since the Dead Sea Scrolls. An ancient mosaic inscribed with God, Jesus Christ. This incredible artifact, dating back to around 230 AD, is the earliest known archaeological evidence of Christians proclaiming Jesus as divine. Now, let's think about this for a second. This predates the Council of Nicaea by almost a century, which means that early Christians weren't just like whispering about Jesus' divinity in like back alleyways. They were embedding it into their very own worship spaces. Unitarians and others who reject the Trinity often argue that the doctrine of Jesus' divinity wasn't actually part of the earliest Christian beliefs. They claim that it was something that sort of evolved over time and then was later formalized by church councils under political pressure. But this mosaic complicates that argument in a pretty big way. So today we're diving into the history, the implications, and why this discovery might actually reshape what we think we know about the early church. So what we're going to do now is walk through this article that was posted on Patterns of Evidence. Now this was posted back in 2022, which shows that this has been known about for a while, but it's just now sort of making the rounds again on social media. But the discovery actually dates back to around 2005. The discovery of the inscription, though, dates to a little bit later. Let's just go ahead and start reading through this. So in 2004, plans were made for a new construction on the Megiddo prison in northern Israel to add another prison wing. Archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority were dispatched to do the required salvage dig, ensuring no hidden archaeological treasures would be endangered. During this process, it was discovered that the Megiddo prison had been built over an amazing mosaic floor of an early Christian prayer hall. The building was abandoned and nobody lived there, explained Dr. Yotam Tepper, who led the salvage dig and is now the IAA's Central Region Academic Consultant. Usually, when people leave, others use the building, but here that did not happen. Before established church buildings were introduced in the 4th century, this one dates back to about 230 AD, after the conversion of Roman Emperor Constantine, prayer halls, such as the one discovered under the prison, were located in Christian homes and were the center of the Christian community. The structure is also interpreted as the oldest Christian prayer house in the world, and in fact, it tells the story of Christianity even before it became official. The most exciting inscription contained in the mosaic is the one which says, "To the God Jesus Christ." This is extremely significant. Dated to AD 230, this is the first known archaeological evidence of the early Christian belief that Jesus was divine. Because of how rich in ruins and artifacts the site turned out to be, and that the area had once been a site used by many cultures over several centuries, the dig went on for 4 years until 2008. During that time, more than 60 inmates from the Megiddo and Tlasmon prisons had the opportunity to work with Israeli archaeologists and participate in the dig. The excavation has been difficult and delayed for years because of the prison in use on top of it. Finally, after years of requesting for the prison to be moved, it was moved, and archaeologists then moved in to investigate it further. All right, so now let's talk about the importance of the God Jesus Christ inscription. The 3 ancient Greek inscriptions were found on the mosaic by excavators and were deciphered by Dr. Leah de Signy. The Western inscription is the most noteworthy of the 3. It reads, "The God-loving Akpatus, I can't do this, has offered the table to God Jesus Christ as a memorial." Besides the earliest archaeological declaration of the Christian Church's belief that Jesus is God, the message also states that a woman, Akaptus, was the donor of the table used for the local Eucharist celebrations. The reason the statement God Jesus Christ is so significant is that arguments have been made by critics that Jesus never claimed to be God and that the first Christians did not recognize or believe Jesus was divine. Skeptics argue that belief in the divinity of Jesus developed later as Christianity got further away from the actual events of Jesus' life. Finding this early evidence that Christians did believe Jesus is God reinforces the credibility of the Bible. It also reinforces the credibility of Trinitarian views of the Bible. Now, the article goes on to discuss how the Roman inscription shows peaceable relations between the Romans and the early Christians. But what I want to actually talk about is the fact that it contains fish images. The Eastern inscription of the mosaic is dedicated to the memory of 4 women whose names were Familia, Kyriaka, Dorothea, and Carasta. The reason for this dedication is unknown. The mosaic also contains images of fish, which were an early Christian symbol. The Greek name for fish was ichthys. Each letter of the word forms the acronym Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. The fish image also represents when Jesus called Peter and Andrew, who were fishermen, to follow him, saying he would make them fishers of men. Now, let's talk about why this mosaic is such a big deal for Christians. So at its core, it pairs one of Jesus's most iconic miracles, the feeding of the 5,000, remember the fish inscription, with the words, God, Jesus Christ. And let's think about this for a second. This isn't just some like casual decoration. It's a theological statement embedded in stone, created nearly 1,800 years ago. So what does this combination of these features actually tell us? First, the feeding of the 5,000 wasn't just viewed as a miraculous picnic. To early Christians, this story symbolized something far deeper. It was a sign of Jesus' divine authority over creation, proof that he wasn't just a prophet or a teacher, he was literally God. And the mosaic explicitly confirms this belief by declaring him as God, Jesus Christ.
And this is the earliest inscription in the Holy Land that mentioned Jesus as a God.